My name is Kisa Hamilton, and I'll be debating today with members of the 21st Advisory Panel. To my left is Ingrid Palmer, and to my number 5 on the list. And to my right is Decker Nur, number 23 on the list. We'd like to combine our deputations today. Is that okay? I must say we are very pleased to be here today to present our report and to share with you our thoughts about the future of Toronto community housing. We have been working collaboratively for over the past 5 months. We've been meeting weekly, we've been very dedicated, and we've been meeting workshop and meetings with all the tenants, give our advice and feedback on the report that is before you today.
Good afternoon. My name is Ingrid Palmer, and I am the Community Co-Chair of the Intercity Advisory Committee and a member of the Enhancing Equity Task Force of the Toronto District School Board. In addition, I am a parent advocate leader with the Macaulay Center for Child Development and an advocate for persons with disabilities, special needs, and children in the child welfare system. I am very pleased to be able to address you this afternoon. My family and I live in a standalone house within the Toronto Community Housing portfolio, and the beauty of being in a scattered home is that we are completely embedded in our community and our neighborhood. This universal housing model nurtures inclusivity, removes stigma, and works against the creation of silos of poverty. For many Toronto community housing tenants, there is a very large social stigma of living in government housing, which has fed a long-standing culture of bias, discrimination, devaluation, and discrediting of tenants' concerns, our voices, and also our lives. Now is a prime opportunity to prioritize social housing and to fund it accordingly. You find the money to fund the TTC, to fund the police, and to fund even the taking down of the Gardner. The Hochansky report is coming to life with every passing day. When people who earn a livable wage are finding it difficult to afford the increases on their condos, when there is a mass grassroots protest taking place in Parkdale, this is evidence of the need for courageous leadership right now in the social housing sector and affordable housing. Mayor Tory and councillors, I want to appreciate and recognize the work that you have done so far in advancing the engagement of Toronto community housing residents. First in the creation of the Mayor's Task Force, and secondly in the creation of this panel. You have gone much further than any of your predecessors in recognizing the value of Toronto community housing, to work collaboratively with us and to recognize us as key stakeholders. In all of our community consultations, we heard loud and clear from residents that engagement is working, it's valued, and there is a really high demand for more of it. You are on the cusp of being the first officials to make concrete and tangible change to the social housing sector, and we implore you and encourage you to bravely go forward to do more and to embrace the recommendations of this panel.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and committee members. My name is Decker Nur, and I am an tenant leader and activist in the East Mall community in Etobicoke. I'm also a parent, and I'm currently in the International Development Studies program at York University. Mr. Mayor, my community is my home. It's a home to my children and my family and my neighbors. We hear often that TCHC does not have enough fundings. The city does not have enough fundings. The province does not have enough fundings. Mr. Mayor, we know that it would take a lot of funding to fund both operating and the capital needs of TCHC. We know that the province has not stepped up and the federal government has not assisted. This is unfortunate. But as a city, you are our landlord. We ask you today to take a leadership and support the funding that TCHC needs to become a better landlord, to provide us with a quality housing that is safe and clean. Mr. Mayor, I joined this panel because I want to be part of bringing those resources to Toronto community housing and making a sustainable the future. It's not just myself that wants to contribute. Tenants wanted to be involved. As a partners, we want opportunity to take leadership to make Toronto community housing a better place to live for all. Mr. Mayor and community members, we thank you for your time.
There's a video we'd like to share with you with all the voices from our panel members.
Good morning, Mayor Tory and Executive Council. My name is John Corso, and I am a member of the Tenants First Advisory Panel, and I live here at 250 Davenport Road. Here are some of the voices of the panel members talking about what's important to them.
For the first time, I think the city was actually looking at the housing of Toronto community housing as a whole, as a crisis, and realized that emphasis really needed to be put on Toronto community housing.
What motivated me to become a member of the Tenants First panel was the opportunity to better my community.
I think what tenants want to see, first thing is maintenance, that the housing is better, that they have better housing, that they were able to reach the management easier and able to talk with the management, and that TCHC would listen to what they have to say, would actually listen and act on what they say.
We need more decentralization. We need to have those managers back in the communities where they know their tenants and the tenants know their.
One of the challenges that faces tenants living in scattered homes is the lack of representation on the operating units and the council.
The dedicated seniors housing provider is a great thing. It takes out of portfolio or a business model now, and focus will be there for the seniors with knowledgeable and dedicated management at the top who are versed with dealing with seniors.
I think that definitely should be separate because the seniors needs are different from family needs.
TCHC doesn't have enough funding to most of the time to make these problems fixed.
And Toronto needs the province and the federal government to get back on board because we cannot do it alone.
My hopes for the future of Toronto community housing is to see a better collaborative relationship between tenants and staff and city advisors.
Things get done and not put on burden. And what is the changes now, not tomorrow, not yet, now.
So I'd like to live in a place with dignity, respect, and care.
Going forward, my hope for the future is that TCHC will become a really great landlord. I'm going to say the word great landlord.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, thank you for the opportunity to sit in this panel and share our voices. We hope you keep your full support to Tenants First for Toronto community housing tenants.
Thank you very much.
How much it costs the
So
video?
we are open to questions now from the council here.
That's what we need to
You're
know.
finished, do we have, 9 minutes,
If I
right on.
can have like 1 minute just to wrap up.
Will you go ahead and take 30 seconds if you could?
Okay, thank you. So just in conclusion, I just want to really say that we're here to advocate for better quality homes and for our communities, for all tenants of Toronto community housing. What we have learned is that we understand the importance of partnership, and it's very important. We've talked to many resident tenants, and we continue to keep hearing, we want to be engaged. We want to be part of the conversation. We want to be part of the decision-making processes. You're going to hear through many deputants, the state of disrepair. It breaks my heart, and honestly, it breaks my heart today because I'm from a small community called Neptune, and there is a community called Forborough who no longer is a community because one day somebody will wake up and realize that, hey, they no longer have a home, and they also no longer have a community because that was 134 units closed. That is almost a similar size of my community. And I'm looking at you today, Mr. Mayor, and the council, I'm like, that could have been my community. And so this is what is happening today. with our residents. We are being displaced, we are putting a strain on our housing, and we really need to step up. Not tomorrow, we need to do it today. So I'm asking all of you today is that you need to take the leadership. This is in your hands to take leadership, and we're holding you accountable for that.
Very much, Ms. Hamilton. All right, questions, starting with Councilor Chris.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa, Ingrid, and Becca. Just a couple very quick questions. So first of all, the Tenants First Advisory Panel, how were you decided who were members of the panel? I recognize a number of faces in the screen. I mean, it's a big city. How were you decided who got to be on the panel? But was there a voting process and you put your names forward and a selection process?
So there was a call out to residents, to tenants to be part of the panel. I know they were interviewed by city staff, and I think they used judgment of making sure that they got it. We are representing all over Toronto. There's seniors, there's youths, they're in between like myself, and so just trying to make a diverse and cultural and especially geographic location so that all tenants' voices, as best as we can represent on that panel.
That's wonderful. There's a whole series of recommendations that staff have brought forward. The Tenants First Advisory Panel, are you supportive of the entire set of recommendations?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
And can I ask in particular, just one of the recommendations, it's number 5 in the report, has to deal with scattered homes. Scattered homes, as we know, has been very contentious in the past. It's also critical in our neighborhoods, that housing stock. The recommendation here is to ensure that they're protected and improved through a partnership. Is that a recommendation? Can you explain why the Tenants First Advisory Panel recommended that approach? Because I know there were a lot of different moving parts on this recommendation.
So one of the things we've always heard about is that, and tenants have stand up and spoken very strongly about that, they're not for sale. Our lands, our public lands are not for sale, and so but we do realize as well, they need to be protected. And those are conversations we need to look into and talk. But when we talk about partnership, we're not talking about selling our public lands. We're definitely not.
So just so I'm clear, that the Tenants First Advisory Panel is supportive of this recommendation on scattered homes because it will protect these homes.
Exactly.
Yes, for current and for future generations.
Perfect. Now, I understand. Thank you very much.
Other questions of these deputies? Councilor Fletcher.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming today. I just note the previous deputants were very worried about tenant engagement under Tenants First and under these recommendations. I've read them that the goal is to increase tenant participation in Toronto community housing. Have I read that right?
Yes, you have.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about that part? Because that was concerned when I heard the tenants say we're worried that we're erasing tenants from the equation. So maybe Ingrid could start with.
No, the Tenants First Advisory Panel supports the increase of tenant engagement and the recognition of tenants as a key and very important stakeholder. It's very important. Residents made it clear in all of our community consultations that engagement is working, that it is desired, and that they want more of it. Tenants want to be involved in making decisions about partnerships, about learning about how Toronto community housing works inside and out, and also sharing our lived experiences. It's not only important to understand from the city and Toronto community housing staff viewpoint as what it takes to run such a massive organization as Toronto Community Housing, but it's also important for you to hear from us who have to live out the chosen solutions. It's important for us to have decision-making power and to be able to work collaboratively with you to ensure mutually beneficial outcomes.
And would you hope that your advisory panel could be maintained to continue to advise as this would be implemented?
Yes, we hope for our panel to be maintained. We also hope for it to be expanded and for there to be expanded ways in all levels for tenants to be engaged. And we also would hope and advise that that tenants on the advisory panel are reviewed and that it changes. Different tenants are able to come in and have their voices heard. That's not something that is completely worked out, but we are definitely in support of the new tenants, the tenants advisory panel.
Are you aware if there have been any large tenant forums over the last number of years where hundreds of tenants would be together in a, let's say, a sufficient place to grapple with difficult issues? Has that been happening lately at Toronto Community Housing?
I would defer to one of my colleagues to answer that question, as this is my first involvement with it.
Okay.
Actually, the reason I got involved working with the tenants first advisory committees because of the problems that TCHC is having, the lack of funding. Many of the residents that live in TCHC, when they run into issues, they were always told that the city doesn't have enough funding. And I hear that all over again and again as a tenant rep, as a community activist, as a part of this, especially across Toronto and in Toronto. It was very amazing to see that people come out in townhouse meetings just to be involved and take part in where they live. One of the things is how we can solve issues from tenants that live in these communities, but these are communities, these are families, these are residents, seniors, and neighbors, and for them to want to be volunteer and take part. That was one of the reasons, and last year, just having communities to come out, just to voice out their concerns and make sure that these things are fixed and not carried into the future. So that was really one of the reasons why we're involved in this.
Thank you, Councilor Fletcher. Other questions of Councilor Davis?
Thank you, I'm just over here.
Sorry, can you wave or something?
Yeah.
Over
To your left. Yes, he's here. Thank you very much for your deputation and for participating in this process. From reading it, certainly looks as though you were very active for a period of time. I wanted to ask, one of the findings that is in the report is that on-site management and having more direct engagement with management was seen as a priority. And I wondered if you could comment on that, and maybe even if there was advice on contracted services versus directly delivered management services.
I'll talk about that. Well, at the moment, if I give you an example of where in the East Mall area, we have a contract that we have right now. So the issue with many of the residents that we spoke to when we did all the meetings across the city is that the contractors have to go through steps compared to when it's direct. And most of the time it was because of, again, it comes back to TCHC being underfunded. And it was, for many residents, it was very frustrating, the fact that things could be done, but it's not getting done because of the lack of the funding. And for example, they had local offices getting closed because of that reason, and it's happening, and TCHC needs the support, but again, the city tells them we don't have enough funding, the program is not stepping up, the federal government. For many of the residents, that's what the frustration comes, is that we do live in a modern country, and then to just be, especially city like Toronto, is one of the first-class cities. So when our residents, our neighbors hear that local offices are being closed due to lack of funding, a city of Toronto big city like Toronto does not deserve to be neglected.
Just add to that, the importance of decentralization and putting back offices back into the community is to bring back that relationship between tenants and the staff. When we have operating units that are embedded right there in the community, the staff know the tenants know the staff. There's a strong relationship there, and it builds trust, it builds a better working relationship, and that model is very highly missed among our tenants where we feel closed off. Having the call center only option where a lot of our concerns are often neglected, or, I've been told myself many times when I've called in that I didn't make the call, that there's no evidence of that. So having somebody local to go to face to face where you have that relationship and you build that type of working relationship brings back the personal relationship back into the mix, and where it brings back respect, and it brings back just that ability to feel like it's not a distinct conglomerate way out there that you have no relationship with. I'm not sure if that was a really clear answer.
No, but you're saying the decentralization.
David, I'm sorry, your time's up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions of these deputies? All right, well, thank all three of you very much for being with us today and for answering questions. Appreciate it. And all of your involvement in the whole process. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the video. Tell everybody we appreciate that. I've got lots more people. Thank you very much.
And just give a big shout out to Councillor Violet, who's really been a champion for us. We just want to say we really appreciate it.
Yeah, good.
All right.
Very good.
Dr. Severe,